Hello, hello, hello. It is Stephanie. Stephanie here. Coming at you on a Thursday. Gonna be talking to you guys all about power. Power, power, power. What is power? What is power? Why do we need it? Why do we want it? What's it for? What can it do for us? How can you use power, personal power, and the different types of power that we play with? So I'm going to be jamming all about this in just a moment. When you get on, say hello so I can say hello back to you. Again, for those of you that are new to my channel, my name is Stephanie Pierre. Hey, what's going on, lady? I can't see who that is. Say hello in the comments so I can say hello back. My name is Dr. Stephanie Pierre, and I am a singer, I'm a healer, I'm an astrologer, soul facilitator, and mentor. And today we're going to be jamming all about, hi Hannah, how are you? Nice to meet you. Hey David, how are you? We're going to be jamming all about power and what power is. I think a lot of people, we think about power, right? We talk about power, but as far as like actually what does personal power actually feel like in our body? Right? Like, why do we want power? Like, and all of there's a lot of negative stigma around power, right? Like, oh, that person's power hungry or they just want power, right? And this is really a disservice to us. There's a lot of programming, against power, around sex and around money, right? But power, essentially, at the end of the day, if you boil it all down, power is about taking charge of how you feel, right? Because once you are in control, I tend to shy away from that word control, but meaning like once you recognize that you're creating your own reality, right? Like at the end of the day, when we take radical responsibility for our life, and for what's going on in our life, right? Like that's how we become the creators and the manifestors of our life. We get what we want in our life. What the heck is going on? I'm gonna share this on my page. Really? So yeah, coming off of this Scorpio new moon, right? Scorpio is all about power and it's about emotional power. So I don't know what's going on with, can you guys hear me and see me fine? Let me know in the comments. About emotional power. Sounds fine. All right, cool. All right, so we're gonna jam. How are you guys doing? Before we get started, I'm gonna take a couple sips here. I'm gonna talk to you guys too about the last program that I'm doing for 2020 of the year. So if you've been wanting to work with me, throughout 2020 and you've just never like jumped on the bandwagon, this is the very last time to work with me in a group setting for 2020. And I'm doing my amazing program Lift the Veil, which is my foundational program. It's like, it is, if you want to work with me, like this is the number one best way to start working with me in a very foundational intro level way. And it's all about lifting the veil, like really starting to see past the illusion, see past the Maya, really start to deepen your relationship to yourself. Self-mastery, essentially. Self-mastery, self-mastery, self-mastery. Understand how it is that you're actually creating your own reality, deepening in your relationships, using your relationships as a mirror, as a portal to your own spiritual growth and evolution. So this is called Lift the Veil, and it's so beautiful. It is the work that I have been doing with my one-on-one clients, and I figured out like, what's this work that I do with all of what's the process that I take them through? What is it that I'm actually teaching them to do? How am I, helping them to emotionally stabilize and to come into their own personal sexual sovereignty, financial sovereignty, relational sovereignty? and from here start creating and designing the life that they want to live and lead. And so I have structured it into several pre-recorded modules. There's journaling prompts. It's so fucking sick. It's so good. It's so beautiful. I mean, over and over again, everybody that I have, led this program through are just literally mind blown. They're like, oh my God, like, this is like blowing my mind. Like, I can't believe, like, this is what I've been doing, for all of this time. And it's like imagine like peering past a veil and really starting to see your life in a whole new perspective, right? And really training yourself to do this on a daily basis, right? Like where your life, you start like making wild fucking love to your life. It's like, it's a game. Life really starts to become this game that you get to be really, really good at and have lots of fun with. And this training, it's not me, right? I mean, obviously I am the one who is the custodian and I'm housing and, being the vessel of this material, right? But it's you, right? Like at the end of the day, you are the most powerful element in your life, right? And once you start taking back your personal power, right, now you can start making your shit happen. Ooh, it's my painting, which by the way, it's pretty much done. I'm just like a few more pieces that are left. I've got a few Swarovski crystals that I want to get to continue here, but I did a lot more glitter. So it's almost complete. I'm really happy with it. I'm really freaking happy with it. I'm liking like the empty space that I'm leaving over here on the side. I think I'm gonna keep that for a while because I like the messiness. I really, really love the messiness of this. It's very like, speaks to like the emotions, when we're feeling like suspended in our world. And then I like this kind of being empty. I don't know. I'm still kind of playing with it, but anyway. So let's talk about power, right? Let's talk about power. So power, right, essentially is the ability to take charge of how you feel, no matter what is going on in your external reality, right? So let's say you have a dynamic, you have a situation, right, where you're feeling like somebody or you can't do something that you want to do, okay? In this situation, you are not in personal power. Anytime you are not taking the actions and doing the things that you want to be doing, you are not free, okay? And so the very first thing to get out of this place, right, is to recognize that whatever you're seeing in your external reality is not true. It is a result of the thoughts and the emotions that you have been having on a daily basis that is actually creating your reality, right? And so once you become aware of this, once you become aware of, oh my God, like the situation that I'm seeing right in front of my eyes, whether it's looking at the money inside of your bank account, whether it's looking at how your significant other is treating you or how they're acting, or if it's, if you're looking at your home, right, and you're feeling like, oh my God, like I never have any time for myself, on some level, this is, yeah, I like the organized chaos. The messiness. What do you mean the organized chaos? Do you mean in general in life, or do you mean in the painting? What do you mean by that? Okay, let me know in the comments. I'm curious as to what you're speaking to. So like, yeah, so coming back to, there's this scenario, right? And so like let's say you have this scenario in your world where somebody's basically telling you you can't do X, Y, and Z. I mean, let's just look at the scenario that we're experiencing right now in the world where basically people are saying you have to wear a mask, right? Like you cannot go into any sort of public place, right, without wearing a mask, right? And that is against your will, right? Meaning if it was your choice and if you were in your personal power, right, you would be going in the store however you want to, okay? So you can see like how this is a really big issue, right? And what it boils down to is recognizing that we all have choice. That's essentially what power is. It's recognizing that you are the one choosing. You're choosing everything in your life. You're choosing who you're married to. You're choosing how much money you're making. You're choosing what kind of house that you want to live in, what kind of body that you want to live in. You're choosing the relationship that you're having to your body, via the thoughts and the emotions that you're having in relationship to this thing. So if you feel that, let's say your partner is like saying, oh, you can't do X, Y, and Z, right? Well, first of all, if your partner's telling you, just because they're telling you you can't do X, Y, and Z, right off of the bat, you're not in your power, right? Because what that means is that on some level, you are an energetic match to somebody being in your life and speaking to you in that way. Because when we're in our power, nobody would even think to say that to us. Nobody, it's like the king or the queen, right? The sovereign, like nobody says to the king or the queen, you can't do X, Y, and Z, right? Like you don't even think to say that to a sovereign. You don't even think to say that to a king or a queen, right? But if you're not in your sovereign, if you're not in your personal power, then what happens is we attract people into our life that mirror and reflect to us the emotional state that we're in. Okay, and so that's always an opportunity. That is what the essence, of lifting the veil is all about, is being like, oh my God, like it has nothing to do with this person. I mean, not to say that there aren't people in our life that aren't, I mean, they're obviously doing their own things, right? They're real, right? But we're attracting them. The only reason why they're in our experience and why they're in our life is because on some level, energetically, we are a match to that. Okay? So you're not in your personal power, right? And so a lot of times the reason why we don't do why it is that we want to do, right? What we want to do is because of fear. Fear is nothing more, nothing less than false evidence appearing real. Fear is just a feeling. It's just a feeling. And all fear basically boils down to, if you boil all fear down, it boils down to the fear of death. If somebody says I can't do something, and I'm giving over my personal power, right, by believing that, by not doing what I want to do, the reason why I'm doing it is because on some level, I probably feel that I'm going to die. If I boil it all down. Now, in the beginning, it might look like, well, this person might not like me. This person might get angry. This person might not want to be my friend. This person might want to divorce me. I might not make the money that I want to make. This person may not hire me if I'm really being true to myself, right? But if you boil all of that down, what it really boils down to is, either being rejected, right? And not having the support of the community, not having the support of the tribe. And psychologically, in our psyches, in our memory, in our 1,000-year-old, little animal brain, when we are outcast by society, when we don't conform to the status quo, to whoever is in the most power, then being kicked out of society equates with death, because you don't have the support of the tribe. You don't have access to all of the resources and all of the food and the shelter that is located within the tribe. But the truth is, like, nowadays that's simply not true, right? Like, we don't really live, quote unquote, in these kind of like tribal scenarios where like you get kicked out of your house and you're out living on the street. I mean, in extreme examples that does happen. There are homeless people living on the street, right? But a lot of them aren't dying. Like they're some of them are just doing fine, right? They may not be, you know, in an esteemed place in society. And this is like a whole other level of what the solar plexus chakra is about. It's about our self-esteem. It's about our standards, our personal standards for our life, and who are you making choices based off? Off of other people and what other people say is possible, or based upon what you want for your life? What you, being the sovereign of your life, wants. Okay? And anytime that we're not doing that, we're giving over our power away. And this leads to, you know, feeling insecure, to not feeling confident. We're actually not as attractive, you know, because the more confident somebody is, right, the more attractive they are, the more life force that they have, the more magnetic that they are. Everybody likes people that are confident, right? It's just, we like it, right? Because it's sexy. It's like this person knows what they're doing. They got their shit together, right? Like they're doing what they want. They're they're free, they're free, they're free, they're free, right? And so at the heart and soul of lifting the veil is about coming into personal sovereignty. So if this is something that you're looking for, right? If you have, you know, if it's difficult for you to step out of your comfort zone, if you have a really difficult time in trusting yourself, in taking actions that are in alignment with your intuition, or maybe you don't really listen to your intuition, perhaps you have a lot of, you might feel that, you know, in your personal relationships, there's like a lot of messiness that happens, right? Like you don't really feel like you can be yourself. You know, maybe there's like a lot of, you know, I mean, this can like show up with like, for example, even like with your own mother, right? If you feel like your mother doesn't listen to you and you're always trying to tell your mother something, but you can never seem to get through to her because there's all of these defense mechanisms in the way, this is where you need to lift the veil, right? If you have issues with other strong women in your life, in your community, where you feel like you're, you know, you're the people, like your friendships, maybe, you know, like you kind of wish that you could talk more about the things that you want to talk about, have those deeper discussions, have those more mystical, magical type discussions, but you'll feel like an outsider, or you'll feel like a weirdo, or you'll feel like nobody fucking gets you, right? Like you're not really being you, right? On some level, you're giving over your power to your community, to your friendships, in order to be liked and accepted, right? And so this we would absolutely be appropriate for lifting the veil, because you're, you know, and if you can't say what you want to say, right, and be who you want to be, like maybe these people aren't really in alignment with you. Maybe they're not your people. And it's not to say that they're good or they're bad people. There is no good or bad. It's all about preference. It's like, what are you choosing? This is your life. This is your one wild and precious life, and you get to live it how you want to live it. And it's only all of these internal rules and these belief systems that we pick up, like from our family, that we pick up as children, right? That make us feel like, oh, if I do this, if I say that, then nobody's gonna like me. You know, nobody's gonna want to, be friends with me, right? Or what are they gonna think? Blah blah blah. Giving over your power, giving over your power, giving over your power, right? And the thing is, you know, when we are doing that, what happens is we end up attracting people in our life that also are not in power, right? And that's no fun, right? Like, it's because the potential of the relationship is, it's like you're dimming your light, right? So what else do I want to say? I'm gonna do like an exercise here to kind of connect a little bit more to the body. So just go ahead and taking in the deepest breath that you've taken all day. So three things that are very apparent, right, when we are in our own personal power is that number one, we love ourselves. And what I mean by you love yourself is you have the courage to make your desires and your life the guidance of yourself with a capital S, a non-negotiable. Meaning, when I'm really being radically honest with myself and I'm saying, what do I want? Right? Like, this is something that isn't such a big deal, right? It's not like this, there's not all of this like tightness and restriction around being scared about what it is that we want, right? Or going into this place of, well, I don't know. I don't know what I really want. I don't know what my purpose is, right? Like, these things just aren't there. Because when we really love ourselves, right, there isn't all of this uncomfortable shame or guilt or justification around what it is that we want and what we want for our life, right? It actually is the most easy and effortless thing in the world. It's like little children, right? When you look around at little children all day long, what are they doing? They're running around, I want this, mommy, I want that, I want to go here, I want to experience this, I want to do that, right? There isn't all of this like drama around what it is that they want because they haven't been exposed to all of this programming and all of this stuff that says you can't have, baby, can you do me a favor? Can you just close that door for me? Yeah, thanks. They haven't like gone through all of this programming and all of these examples of, oh, you can't want that, or that's selfish. You can't ask for that. Like, that's too much. Or, how dare you want to do this? How dare, you know what I mean? Like, that just isn't, it's like, it might be there, right? But it's not like, it's not something that's so inundated in them. They're so pure and so fresh. It's like, that isn't even a thought, right? And so this is the deep programming, right? That when we truly love ourselves, self with the capital S, listening to the desires of our heart, listening to our intuition, we don't have all of these defense mechanisms and we don't have all of these rules, right? Around just doing what it is that we want to do, So that's number one. The second thing is that we're in trust, right? Like, at a deep, deep level, at a fundamental level, we know that we're provided for, right? Like, we know that everything that we're experiencing in our life is for us. There isn't this feeling like it's happening to us, like the world, is hard and it's a harsh world and I have to work really hard and I have to struggle. Like, that isn't, I mean, it's not to say that, there aren't things in our life that, might require some, some fortitude and some strength, right? But there isn't, it's like we truly trust. We're in trust, right? Like we trust that mommy and daddy are going to take care of us. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we're not worrying, right, about where our next meal is going to come from, if our bills are going to be paid, if we're going to have a roof over our head. Like we trust. We trust, we trust, we trust. And when we're in trust, we're not in control. We're not trying to control freak our life, not feeling controlled by other people. So if you're feeling at the whim and at the mercy of somebody else, you are not in trust. And that's your number one job. Because if you're not in trust, you're not in, you can't even get into your own personal power. It is a prerequisite. Power and self-confidence do not exist without first trust of the self, meaning you're trusting the self, trusting yourself with a capital S to guide you, right? Another, thing that we can look at is if you're in fear, you're not in love. Meaning if you're feeling fearful, you're actually not loving the self, right? You're not loving the fact that this life is here for you, right? You're in fear of that you're not good enough, or you don't have what it takes, right? You're not pretty enough, you're not smart enough, you're not rich enough, you're not whatever enough, right? You're not loving yourself. So that's the other thing. And then the third thing is self-respect, right? If you're kind of like looking at everything that's going wrong in your life, right? And every time somebody, asks you, hey, what's going on, right? Like whether you say it aloud, right? In honesty, because you feel safe enough to be vulnerable with your friend, or even if this is just how you feel like inside. If your focus is overly on what's not working, everything that's going wrong, everything that you can complain about your life, you're not respecting the self. Meaning you're not respecting yourself with a capital S. You're actually disrespecting yourself. You're dissing yourself. You're like saying like, look, you can't even fucking get your life together. Everything in your life sucks. This sucks, that sucks, blah, that's not self-respect. That's not respect for yourself. So these three things, right? Like these three things absolutely have to be intact in order for you to get into a place of personal sovereignty and personal power. So self-love, right? Which means that you have the courage to love and embody thyself completely. Meaning that you have the courage to feel like you fucking won the lottery. Because the truth is, you could have been born on any day in the entire day, right? But you were born on the day that you were born. You came here to be you. You could have been anybody else. But guess what? You're you. And because you're you, that's winning the lottery. This is what it means to love yourself. That you love, oh my God, I'm me? Like, oh my God, I'm alive? Like, I get to be in this body? And oh my God, like, I get to be Stephanie, or insert your name. Like, I get to be me? Oh my God, and I get to be alive? Like, I fucking love this. This is so amazing. This is what it means to love yourself. To be so fucking in love with the fact that you're alive. And you're alive being you. You could have been anybody else in the world, but you get to be you. What a fucking gift. This is self-love. Okay? Self-care, right? And I want to bring some clarity, right? Because I think in this day and age, self-care, right, is a word that a lot of people throw around. And hey, Monica, how are you? Thanks for tuning in. And a lot of people can get into this place of feeling that like self-care means like, taking a bath and relaxing and, which all of those things can be, right? But taking care of yourself can be as simple as putting your hand over your heart and saying, oh my God, how can I serve you today? I'm going to put everything else, all of the world, everything else that's going on, and saying, no. How can I serve you? How can I get out of my own way and not give in to the fear and actually start doing the things that I told myself I'm going to do? If I said I was going to wake up at 5:30 every morning so that I could journal and meditate and go for a walk or exercise, and I don't do that, that's not self-care, because I'm not even honoring the commitments I'm making to myself. And if I can't even honor the commitments that I'm making to myself, how can anybody else trust me? How can I be in integrity to my community, to my family? How can I show up for anybody else if I can't even show up for myself? How can I be the kind of mother that I want to be, the kind of lover that I want to be, the kind of leader that I want to be, if I can't even show up for myself? If I can't even do good on the promises and the things that I've told myself I'm going to do, that's self-care. That's saying I love myself enough to say no to everything else, to the illusion, to the Maya, to the everything that is outside of me, and I am choosing to bend reality to my will, the will of the self with the capital S. And when you do this, you start trusting yourself, because you do what you say you're going to do. This is how you start building your personal power. It could be as simple as, you know what? Every day I'm going to journal, or every day I'm going to go for a walk, or, every day I'm going to spend 30 minutes meditating and just getting clear and asking for clarity and asking to be guided. And I don't care what happens. By the end of the day, this is going to get done. So, and this is how you start flexing the muscle of your soul. This is how you start flexing, right? And if you can't even do simple things as showing up for yourself, then how you don't have any business showing up for anybody else, because you're now giving from an empty cup. You're doing things for other people. You're pouring bitterness into your relationships, because anytime that we are doing things for other people in our life, whether even it's our children, even our husbands, our partners, our clients, right? We're doing something to get something. We're like, if I do this, then I'm hoping that, I'm going to get something out of it, whether I'm going to get validation, I'm going to get acknowledgement, I'm going to get love, I'm going to get money, I'm going to get recognition, right? Like, we're doing something in order to get something, which means we're outsourcing. And when we don't get what it is that we want from whoever it is that we're in relationship to, then what happens is we start becoming really resentful and bitter. You're like, oh my God, like I gave all of my time and all of my love and all of my energy to this person, and they don't even appreciate me. Like I can't believe that I've done, and it's because you wanted to get something. You weren't giving from the surplus of your heart. You weren't giving from your joy, right? You were getting something with like this contingency plan which is manipulation. Meaning you're behaving in a certain way, right, in order to get something. You're being manipulative. That's not pure. That's not giving from your best. That's survival mode. Meaning you're doing something to get your needs met, right? And the truth is that we really don't need anything from anybody. Like, yes, we obviously, we benefit and we need other people in our life, right? But the truth is that we can't ever really get anything we can't receive anything from anybody else until we first give that to ourselves. Have you ever been in this like scenario where it's like, you can be in a room full of people and feel so lonely, even though you're surrounded by all of these people that you love, right? But you still feel empty. You still feel lonely. And that's because you're not loving yourself. You're disconnected from yourself. So it doesn't matter like how much love you receive from somebody, right? How many hugs, how many kisses, how many, how much whatever somebody gives you, you actually aren't even able to really take it in because you're not connected to that within yourself first. And how much love do we miss out on a day-to-day basis because we're not even connected to our own power source. We're not even connected to ourselves. I'll never forget this. I'll never, ever, ever forget, getting to this place. And, I work with astrological magic, which is, it's what I call the yang aspect of astrology. It's like it's the communion with the celestial fire, right? So meaning where it's not just like looking at what's happening in the astroscape, right? It's also, well, what do I want to do about it, right? Like, who do I want to be knowing what the terrain looks like, right? What is this voice, inside of me? Yes, I know Venus and Mars and Jupiter and blah, 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 right? All of these archetypes, right? But what is that archetype inside of me? How does that want to come alive? What is this archetype wanting to do in me, right? How do I want to show up as the warrior, as the lover, as the performer, as the teacher, as the mother, as the whatever friend, okay? And I remember getting to this place and being like, oh my God, this is love? Like, I've never felt love like this. Because I had all of this armor and all of this protection around my heart. And there were all of these people in my life that loved me, that were like constantly pouring their love and pouring their appreciation into my life. But it wasn't getting in. It was like, it didn't matter how many times I was told I was beautiful. I never felt it because I had all of this armor and all of this protection, all of this, what I call the veil, right? Which wasn't allowing it to get in. And so, and this veil, right, is formed by our thoughts. All of the thoughts that whether we're aware that we're having or we're not aware that we're having, right? And sometimes like our mind, right, is just going on autopilot. We don't even realize it's like an hour has gone by and you're feeling like garbage and you're like, oh my God, like if somebody was to look inside of my mind, like those thoughts aren't very powerful thoughts, right? Like the way that you're thinking about yourself, the way that you're thinking about this scenario, the way you're thinking about X, Y, and Z, that's not power, that's not truth, right? And so starting to become awakened and aware to all of the ways that we keep ourselves small, right? That we protect ourselves from, from perceived failures. We protect ourselves from putting ourselves out there, right? From doing and saying what it is that we want to do, out of fear because something might happen, right? And again, all of fear is just false evidence appearing real, right? It's our privilege, and it's our, when we take personal, radical responsibility for our reality, we can look at everything in our life and be like, oh man, like that's there because that's how I think about life, right? The reason why I don't feel loved is because I don't think I'm worthy of love. The reason why I don't feel powerful is because on some level, I don't feel safe to be powerful. Like if I'm powerful and I really voice my truth and I really say how I'm going to feel, something bad might happen to me. And because I believe that, then that's actually what happens in my life. I start living my life that way. I start creating habits and lifestyle in a way that is so disempowering because I'm not being me. I'm actually not being me. I'm being who I think I am. I'm being, and I'm taking on the identity of the thoughts and the feelings that I'm having. When that's not actually who I am, they're just thoughts. They're just choices. And I can choose to have powerful thoughts where my thoughts and my words and my actions all line up. Now I have personal power. When what I say and what I think and what I do all line up, that's fucking power. That's personal power. And you start building this momentum of trusting yourself because you do what you say you're going to do and you feel good about what you're doing. Because it's one thing to, be taking actions in our life that we don't really like. And I mean like living a life that isn't authentic to us, right? Like hanging out with people that we don't really like, having the kinds of conversations, like letting other people guide the conversations, right? Like you're here having a conversation with your friends, right? But meanwhile, it's like, what are you guys talking about? Like, this isn't even fun for me, right? Like, I want to talk about this, right? And so meanwhile, you're hanging out with people that you're not even really like, you're not even being you. That's not friendship. That's not authenticity, right? And so what happens when we do that is, it's like we dim our light. And then it makes it really hard for the people that really would love us, for us being us, right? And this is why I wrote this post about like, we're in this culture right now that the fact that there's even a like button is an option on Facebook. It's like, I don't want to just like something. I want to love it, right? Like, I don't want to be lukewarm about something. I want to do things that I'm passionate about, right? That really turns me on, right? It's like in lovemaking, it's like you can like have sex with somebody and like, have lovemaking happening and like if you're not really enjoying it, right? Are you just going to like either one just like not take charge and like do what you want to do, right? Or not communicate and be like, hey babe, like, you know what, I really like this, do it like this, right? Because meanwhile, you're gonna live your life. It's like, we didn't come here. I came here to live a really beautiful life. I came here to be me. I came here to be Stephanie, right? And I get to have people in my life that love Stephanie, not like Stephanie, right? Like, and people that maybe you don't agree with everything that I have to say. And that's cool, but I'm not going to be like, oh, fuck her. Like, I can't believe, she doesn't know what she's talking about. But no, like, they actually have the courage and the honesty, and they care about me enough to be like, so tell me a little bit more. Like, so this is how you really feel? Why do you feel this way? Right? Like, having the courage to ask and not be all wrapped up in ego and in defense mechanisms that you're not entitled to your own viewpoints and opinions, right? And you can just be like, wow, why do you, I really want to know, like, what is it about your life, right? Like, what have you been through in your life that makes you feel that way? Why do you like this, right? Like, because then you're wanting to know me. You're not, it's like, you're not just here for the surface, and just to judge people because they're different than you, right? And I think that that's like one of the most beautiful things is friendships is, yes, it's about people that you are alike, that you like doing the same things, right? But it's also about knowing how you're different, right? Like, how is this person, how am I different? How am I unique? And the reason why I really love you is because I'm not like that, right? I'm not a very organized person, right? And the fact that you know how to organize things and you know how to like do all of this cool stuff on the computer, like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, I'm like not like that at all, right? But if we're only like willing to be with people that, agree with us, right? We miss out on the richness of who this person really is at their depth, right? Like who they are. And this is like how, when we're being honest with who we really are and what we really want, that's what makes sex really, really good, right? That's the difference between people that really have a fulfilling and deep, fulfilling relationships, not only sexual, but financial, friendships, right? Is they have the courage to know what they want and to make that, like, know that they love their self enough to give that to themselves. Like, I get to have what I want, and it doesn't have to be like this whole big crazy fucking deal, right? Like, I'm worthy. And, if you don't like that, if that's not like your thing, then that's cool, right? Like, we may not get on in that way. Or maybe, hey, maybe I could show you something. I could show you something like, you may not like this. You might think you don't like this, but have you ever tried it like this? Like, or do you just, or do you not like it because you're scared? Or because you've never done that before? Or maybe perhaps because you grew up in a certain household or in a certain environment where this was bad, right? Where this was frowned upon, right? But what if that wasn't true? What if actually, this is like really fun and this is really beautiful, right? Like, imagine how that person's world would open up, right? When you have the courage to do that for yourself, to liberate yourself from all of the conditioning and all of the internal rules and defense mechanisms we have around really showing people who we are, right? Nah, B, like, this is what I like to do for fun. I like to hang up on trees upside down, like, making rap music with my girlfriend, drinking wine and doing photo shoots, like, in the middle of the neighborhood. Like, I really enjoy that kind of stuff. That's me, right? So, and it really opens us up, right? Because so many times, like, the reason why we love superstars, it's the reason why we love the music, like all of the artists that we love, right? Like, think of whatever your favorite music artist is, like, or movie star, or maybe it's a public speaker, right? The reason we love them is because they're powerful. They have the courage to be themselves and do what they want to do the way they want to do it. All right, when we think about like all of the songs, right? Like, I love Rihanna, for example. It's like, I love Rihanna. Like, she has the courage to just fucking be herself, right? Or to do what she wants to do. She sings about what she wants. She says what she wants to say, right? And that gives us the permission, right, to then do that for ourselves, right? But we don't have to, we get to be all of us. We all have this power. These people aren't any different from us. They're just doing the things that we may not be willing to do ourselves, right? And they're willing to do it over and over and do it in bigger and bigger ways. They are no different from you. No different from you. Every single one of us has this power inside of us. The question is, are you willing? Are you willing to let fear? Are you choosing love? Are you choosing to love yourself enough Or are you choosing fear? Are you choosing to do what's safe and what's comfortable and accepted by society, or by your inner circle, and by your friends? Because it's really easy to say things that maybe aren't that popular, right, on Facebook, on social media, for people who don't even know who you are. It's a whole nother ball game to say how you really feel to your family, to say how you really feel to your friends, because you care about them. There's no risk. There's no risk involved with people you know on social media. There's no risk. Like, who cares? They like me, they don't like me, right? They don't want to be my friend. Like, some of us, actually have that fear too, right? I'm not saying that that isn't a valid fear, but I'm saying it's much harder to stand up and be honest with the people that you care about, your significant other, your husband, your mother, your clients, right? Because if you're outsourcing your power, if you're outsourcing your whatever. So again, Lifting the Veil is my signature program. This is the last time that I am offering this program. It's the last group program that I am running for 2020. So if you've been wanting to work with me, if you've been following me for any length of time and you've been seeing my programs and you're like, oh, I really want to do this, but like, this is the last opportunity to work with me in a group setting, in a group coaching container with. And by the way, my group coaching containers are really beautiful. It's not just like, it's very intimate, right? Like, you get high level access to me in a private Facebook group. You also get access to me in a private, well, it's actually a group chat. So it's run on Telegram, and it's actually, my clients swear by this because it's super, super fun. It's like, why we like hiring coaches, mentors, is because it's like dating. It's like when you're dating somebody, right, and you're like in love, and you're like, you just like can't wait to see them. They can't wait to see you. You're like, oh my God, this is what I'm doing. Oh my God, like, there's just like this vibe, right? There's this support and this energy where it's like you could do all of these things by yourself, but it's so much. It's like masturbating. It's like, I can get off pretty good all by myself, but it's a whole other ball game when I'm making love, I'm making love with somebody. It's so much more pleasurable, right? Because now you've got two people bringing it, right? And so it's the same thing when we hire coaches, when we hire mentors, or when we get into a group, right? There's a synergy, there's an energy, everybody's doing the same thing together, right? And you get to spark ideas off of each other, and you're like, oh wow, look what you're doing. Like, if they can do it, I can do it, right? And so in Lift the Veil, there are pre-recorded modules. I lead you and I take you through the very same processes that I go through with my one-on-one clients. Okay, but I've broken it down in super, super easy, super fun. I do lots of singing. I do like silly things. I dress up for you guys, right? Make it fun, make it real, make it practical. And you have these pre-recorded modules. And then you have journaling prompts. So it's not just like, here's the information, now figure out what to do with it. It's like, all right, this is something for you to do, to implement this, to actually embody this information, to make it real, the action steps, right? And there's accountability, right? So it's like, at the end of the day, what did I do? Right? How did I take action on my heart today? How did I make myself a non-negotiable, right? And starting to look at all of the ways that we keep ourselves small, the ways that we keep ourselves in our comfort zone, right? That we keep ourselves contracted, right? And so that's my little girl. There's journaling prompts. There's also I'm going to be doing live rounds of Q&A. So you're going to get me in a group coaching once a week, in addition to the group chat, in addition to the group modules, in addition to the journaling prompts, in addition to the playlists. I'm telling you, It's really, really beautiful. I love what I do. I love my people. My why is when people message me and they're like, "Oh my God, my relationships are transforming." Like, I never thought that he would listen to me, or I never thought that I would be able to make this amount of money, or I never thought, I would be able to have this level of intimacy in my life, right? And it starts happening, and it's like, "Oh my God, I just fell off of my unicorn." Like, where have you been my whole life, right? And sending me pictures of their families, sending me pictures, right? And telling me like what they're doing in their life, how their business is transforming. Like, this is what I live for. Because at the end of the day, we get to live a really beautiful life, right? And when we're in our own way, we can't even see it, right? We don't even realize how we're blocking ourselves from our own beauty, from our own magic, right? And it's like, there's nothing special about me, right? Meaning obviously there's things and ways that I'm different from you, but I mean, like, we all have the same wounds. We all have the same sufferings. Hey Maria, hey Zach, hey Hugo. We all have the same wounds. We all have the same suffering, right? And so I would never ask you, I would never tell you to do things that I myself have not done, that I myself have not been through and come out the other side of. I just won't do that, right? Like, I could surmise about it and be like, "Oh, I wonder what this would look like," but I'm never going to tell you like this, like, I'm not going to ask you to do things that I myself am not doing in my own life. Meaning the fact that I've been married, I've been with my husband, not married actually, we've been together for over 20 years, right? And I have brought my marriage from the brink of death a couple of times, right? And all of the ways it was like being ready to throw in the towel. Like, I don't know if I could do this anymore. I don't know if I can do this anymore, right? But still knowing in my heart, like, I love this man, but I don't know, like, I don't know how to change this. I don't know how to make it better, right? I did it. And I want you to know that I am your divine victory. If I can do it, because the things that I have been through in my life, we've all been through horrible things in our life, but I can really say that, like, I've been through some really nasty scenarios. And if I can bring myself out from the gutter in my relationship, in my business, in my personal relationships, then you can do it. And I have not just done this, I've also led other women, other families, other men through this as well. Transforming their relationships, transforming their businesses, transforming their relationships to their body. Okay? So this is the essence of lifting the veil. It is beautiful, it is mystical, it is magical. If you want to take back your personal power, if you want to, or maybe you already are, like, you already have a certain amount of success in your life, like, you're already doing things and you're feeling really good, right? But you're really wanting to get to that next level, right? You're wanting to expand, you're wanting to feel expanded and actually do so in a really high vibe way, in a really beautiful way, in a way that's fun, that makes it feel like life is this great adventure. Lifting the Veil is for you, and it is the last opportunity to work with me in a group program for 2020, because right now I'm organizing all of my content for Star Disco, which is my 1-year mentorship program, which is a whole other ball game, which is really, really beautiful. If you have already worked with me in any of my group coaching containers, so you know what I'm about and you're ready to, like, I want to commit to working with you for the year. I want to learn astrology. I want to learn about astrological magic. I want to learn about alchemy. I want to take my personal fitness, because Star Disco is very, very much in the body. It is a lot about your health. I teach you everything about the Chinese 5-element system. So about acupuncture, the acupuncture points, the acupuncture meridians, the 5 elements of Chinese medicine, and how to use the elements of nature to wield your magic, right? And the different elements, the different magical elements that exist, such as the mermaids, the water element, the witches, right? The witch energy, which is about fire, right? The nymphs, which is the earth element, right? It's learning about your body and sensuality and business. The unicorn energy, which is all about the ether, right? It is tapping into the pineal gland and the third eye and the imagination, learning how to be a rebel, right? What it really means to be a rebel, meaning to having the courage to following your creative juices, no matter what. Listening to your inner voice, being guided by your inner voice. The queen energy, what it means to be the matriarch of your life, to have a queendom, to running your business, running your family, having a community, right? Having people that you lead, right? This is the element of metal in Chinese medicine, is the queen energy, ruling, rulership. And so working with all of these different magical archetypes, and bringing them alive, right? Because we all have these elements, these archetypes in us, right? But in different areas of our life, certain ones are more alive, right? Or in different phases of our life, like sometimes, we really want to step into when we become a mother, right? We really step into that matriarchal queen energy, right? And then there's other times, right, when we're, we're more in being the nymph, right? We're more really focused just on our relationship to our body, right? Like that's our number one focus, is our health and fitness, and our business, right? Like getting our money, getting those things, right? And so and we all have, right, these seasons in our life. And so as you start to work with the moon, the sun, all of the planets, right, you understand and find your own personal rhythm, your own personal flow, and how to use that in your life to time certain things in your business, to time all sorts of things, right? Being in the right place at the right time. So this is Star Disco. This is a 1-year mentorship. If you have questions about that, reach out to me. I am taking applications right now for 2021. But again, like if you want to work with me before if you want to hit the ground running, right? Like be ready for 2021, work with me and Lift the Veil. It's beautiful. And if you need any referrals, I'd be happy to. We are in early bird pricing right now, which ends tomorrow at midnight. And so early bird pricing is $14.97. That's paid in full. There's also a payment plan. If you require one, just reach out to me and I'd be happy to go over that with you. Or if you want to do the VIP option, which is you get the group, you get the access to the group trainings and everything, but then you want to do private one-on-one sessions with me, you get 4 one-on-one private sessions with me for $19.97, which is, it's a really, really, really beautiful deal because, working with me one-on-one, my one-on-one container is a 3-month minimum commitment, and it's $33.33 a month. So, if it's $33.33 a month, that's for, meeting with me once a week, right? I mean, there's all these other things that you get access to when you work with me, and that's my highest level way of working with me. But to get those in the VIP, the 4 one-on-one sessions within Lifting the Veil, it's just like a really, really great way to start working with me in a high level way, and without making the full-on 3-month commitment of that one-on-one work. So again, it's $14.97 if you just want to join for the group. There's a payment plan, or if you want to do VIP, that's $19.97, and that is early bird. The price is going up tomorrow night at midnight. Okay, So we are starting December 1st. That's when our first group coaching call is going to be. But as soon as you join, you get access to the private Facebook group, you get access to the private chat, you get access to the modules, and we'll start unlocking all of the journaling prompts and guiding you through lifting the veil on your relationships, lifting the veil on the relationship to your own heart, to your own creativity, to your beauty. It's really, really beautiful. And I'm really, really excited. I'm really happy that I decided to offer this one last time before 2020 closes. So let me know if this is speaking to you, if you have any questions about it, if you want to know if this is right for you. I'd be more than happy to find out more about what's going on in your life, what challenges you're having, and whether this is an appropriate container for you. But like I said, it's my foundational work. So it's the same work that I do with my clients one-on-one. It's been put into a structure and a program so that you can do this on your own. It's self-paced, right? And it's in a group container, which is so fun, right? Because it's about connecting, right, and creating that sisterhood. So, all right, I'm gonna go. I love you. I hope you guys have the most beautiful evening, and I shall talk to you soon.